Okay, so very good afternoon for those that here. Now we are just waiting in there for anyone that is still perhaps settling into this webinar session for you. So I do have a moderator in the background. I'm in Sengkang and he's probably in Jurong somewhere. So just hang in there. We'll wait for his cue as to whether we should get things rolling. Okay, so for now, we hope you're comfortable at the moment and whether you're in your living room right now or somewhere else within your home. So we'll just hang in there for a few minutes until I get a signal that we can actually get things rolling. Okay. All right. And of course, the jump gun or the starting gun has been indicated to me. And thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. And likewise, as you can tell, I'm in the comfort of my own home, just like many of you. And if you're tuning in and coming in to us live from wherever you are, thank you so much for joining us today. Okay, so this is a very, very special edition of SME Academy, exclusively brought to you by DBS Business Class in collaboration with IBM, IMDA, NTUC Learning Hub, Singapore Business Federation, Skills Future Singapore, and Workforce Singapore. So quite a lot of people and partners here with us to help us along throughout these challenging times. So without further ado, this live edition of the SME Academy today, you are going to see a series of four webinars curated for industries that are hardest hit by the current pandemic at hand. And really it's designed and curated to help one another and especially help you to manage some of the uncertainties that is going on right now and hopefully give you some actionable insights and perhaps some things to think about moving forward, as well as, this is the most important part, is to uncover and discover more subsidies, especially from what the government subsidies are actually providing for all of us, which we can all leverage on, and to perhaps continue training and figure out how to actually leverage on all this training subsidies out there, or even to rethink our business model and perhaps taking up digital solutions. So, by the way, in case you're wondering, my name is Mak Xiao. I'm going to be your host for today, so welcome all online. And I really, really sincerely hope that you're doing well at home together with your family, keeping safe. Truly, we are in unprecedented times right now, and many people around the world, not just Singapore, has been greatly impacted by this pandemic at hand. So what I like to say really is you and I, we're in the same boat, and whether it's our careers, our businesses, and our livelihoods, which has been somewhat disrupted and impacted in a very short time by this global crisis. But today, to kick things up, we are going to, for the next 1 hour, really the topic for today is to upskill, okay, for the future for the tourism sector, as you can see from the particular slide at hand. And brought to you again, I'm one of the presenters today, and NTUC Learning Hub has kindly engaged me to actually share with you a little today, together with Skills Future Singapore and Workforce Singapore. And I'd like to kickstart the webinar by just sharing an overview of the current tourism landscape. And throughout this time right now, the disruptions due to the current situation and amazingly, a lot of digital ideas or new innovations has sparked. And if you notice, it's like sprouting out like mushrooms all of a sudden. Okay, so I'm just going to take you on a little journey and a little walk throughout this 1 hour or so to perhaps give you a little bit of more ideas as to what some of the behaviors and habits might have changed, and also to tackle this frequent word that you hear about, this new normal that has been going around from left, right, center all the time. Okay, and what exactly can we predict and help us grow in our business and to essentially thrive? Okay. And of course, I'll be taking you some of these trends that are going on together with some changes in our own behavior, perhaps in the, how we consume music or entertainment, to how we actually buy fish from the market right now. Okay, pretty much all of that has everything to impacted us by the use of technology. So for the next half an hour, I'll be taking you through on that journey and sharing with you once again a little bit about some of the trends that's happening right now, and perhaps give us some insights and inspire us to think forward, rather than to just be all bogged down by the gloom and doom, in trying to sustain and worried about cash flow and costs and stuff like that. Okay. And of course, the best part here is right after my sharing, we have Aaron. Aaron is from Skills Future Singapore. Okay, and we also have Jiawen from Workforce Singapore. Okay, and both Aaron and Jiawen will be sharing with you some available schemes and grants to actually support all our small, medium enterprises or business owners in this workforce transformation that's happening right now. Okay, so stay tuned because the good stuff is coming ahead. Yeah, we always save the best for last. But last but not least, I just wanted to take this few moments to orientate you, because there is going to be a polling, okay, or a little survey thing that we would like to actually invite you to do and go on. So if you hover around the left hand side of your little browser, okay, which is on this video conferencing platform right now, okay, if you hover around, two buttons that you should be concerned about or pay attention to would be one, the speech bubble with that polls on it, okay, where the pie charts and the bar charts on it. That is where, when I start to announce and share that everybody, oh, the poll is on, that is where you go to. And of course, at the end of it all, okay, at the end of it all, we can actually, I'm sorry to correct, that's the right side of your screen. Yeah, okay, because sometimes, yeah, the balik, huh? Okay, so again, will be on the right side of your screen. And of course, at the end of the session, we would sincerely invite you to have for any queries that you have or questions that you have on this webinar that you might have, please put it down on the chat with the Q&A button that you see there. Okay, so that's the polls button on your right hand screen, and also the Q&A just below the polls speech bubble. All right, so once again, we hope you are feeling comfortable now, and in the next 1 hour, I just invite you to just relax and keep an open mind. Okay, and of course, not to worry. If we do run out of time from the planned 1 hour that we have with you, the DBS Business Class team will actually consolidate all your questions that you might have, on some of it which we didn't manage to answer, and we will actually follow up with you. Okay, so now without much delay, let's get started. So you might be wondering, who is this guy all the way in Sengkang now in this four-room HDB flat talking to you? Well, just like you, actually 1 week ago, I got an email from NTUC, who just sent me an email one day and said, hey, Mark, would you like to just share a little bit for this webinar together with DBS SME Academy? And then I was seriously scratching my head in the midst of scrambling, juggling what to do next and things like that, and say, what could I possibly share with all of you? And I've pretty much decided, say, since I'm a business owner myself, as you can tell, I'm not going to take you through all the crazy things that I do and see right there. Okay. But if you'd like to find out more about me, of course, do what most HR do nowadays when they interview people. Just Google my name and you should see my face coming out. And in case if you think I do look familiar to you, it's because you're probably on screen on TV. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it as that. But again, I just wanted to approach this sharing with you today from one business owner to another. And just like many of you, I'm really, really, really concerned right now as to two things, right, in business: cash flow, costs, and of course, what is the impact of business that is coming up. And honestly, folks, there's one thing for sure. We can't really tell what's going to come out because at least there is one good news that came out last night. Government is trying to loosen up some of the measures in place with the different phase one, phase two, phase three. But what we can't really tell is when or the dates involved. Okay, which is of course understandable. So I've decided once again to share with you my thoughts and my feelings on the current situation right now, especially with your business and my business at hand. And some of the things, like I mentioned, what we can actually take advantage of and leverage on during this time, okay? Whether to keep us sustainable and not just to keep us sustainable, to hopefully even thrive and come out better from this. Okay, so allow me to do what I do best, which is to take you through time. I happen to own arts and theater drama company, and as you can tell, yeah, no theater for a while. Okay, so when I say I do understand, I'm deeply concerned. You know what I mean. As it is, nobody goes to theater already. So anyway, not too long ago, all right, 想当年 as they call it, all right, 想当年, or thinking back into the past. And when I mention thinking back in the past, it's not to bring you back into the 60s or 70s or 80s, but really it's to bring us back to just 3 months ago, okay, where we were still walking around at our time, free will, just going about our grocery shopping as and when we want, okay, thinking about our next holiday in mind, okay, and wondering what to eat for dinner, although we still do that, okay, but in very different contexts, okay. Life was pretty much normal as we knew it, okay, and now in an instant, within the last 3 months, what happened was the favorite hawker centers where we used to go and get our char kway teow so easily, just order and just either tapao or just, eat it hot, nice and hot over there, all of a sudden just vanished. And again, for the F&B business, really the challenges are huge and severe. Many business owners, of course, wondering when is this all going to come back to normal, just like the good old days, 想当年. And also thinking about your next holiday in an instant. Drastic news from the airlines, okay? What with different countries and various countries closing their borders, air travel all of a sudden came to a standstill. And our own very own flagship Singapore Airlines, together with Silk Air and Scoot, when the announcement came where they decided to, reduce the number of flights to 96%, which are all now grounded. All the planes are now parked somewhere in Alice Springs in Australia in the desert to prevent the planes from, getting rusted and out of service. That came as a huge shock. And all of a sudden, your holiday plans or your business travel plans in which you meet the overseas clients all came to a standstill as well. Not just that, um, other sectors that involved in an instant, other sectors involved here would include Me. Okay, would include the Singapore Zoo. Okay, and when we're talking about tourism right here, um, attractions and tourism, as we know, spans such a huge, broad spectrum of various direct and indirect industries. So attractions, integrated resorts, meetings, conventions, to car rental companies for that matter. In an instant, people lining up for tickets just to get into the zoo. Now the zoo is opening up its doors to their own animals walking freely. So while the penguins are happy, humans not so much at the moment. And within an instant, retail, sadly, the bustling, busy streets of Chinatown instantly at one glance became from Chinatown to now ghost town. I'm so sorry to start off this way in a less than positive vibe, but here goes. I just want to inject a little bit of positivity from here all. And like I mentioned, from all this gloom and doom, somehow, just somehow, and if you take a look at your own social media from Facebook, Instagram, or the news that you read and from your friends and family, um, they are sharing with you all sorts of new things that are arising from this particular period that we're in. And as they say, folks, necessity is, of course, the mother of invention. Okay. So, what you found out from here is some of these little examples that are going on right now. And some of these examples, could I have the next slide? Okay, the slides are lagging, let me see. Okay, things like this, okay. Innovation just started to kick in. One of the, of course, the uh, areas and aspects of F&B, especially retail or mixed retail and F&B, here are poor hawkers. Of course, our neighborhood hawkers, actually, not everybody is, doing badly. If you go to your neighborhood hawker like I did, and I just asked right my nearby hawker chicken rice stall owner to say, "Hey, how you? Hey, how's business?" And then he just told me, he say, "哇，你不相信啊，很忙啊." Okay, so that totally changed my kind of perspective in the, after all, some are thriving, some are not. Now, of course, no surprise who is doing really or concerned about the current situation are the ones that are in the CBD area, Central Business District, what with the stay-at-home measures and so on. They are the ones that are actually suffering at the moment, trying their best to keep their business alive. And here comes some ground up initiatives from these two right here. One of them, of course, perhaps you discovered this recently. Tekka Online Market trying to take all our traditional hawkers, fishmongers, vegetable sellers, fruit sellers online, just to give them a helping hand, because some of them are not um, digital. They do not have a digital presence as yet. Okay, so hoping to actually give them a platform in which to share and hopefully sell their products and services to all their customers out there without having customers coming to them. Okay, and Hawkers United is another really great ground up initiative started by you and I, ordering people out there, people trying to help people. Okay, if there's one thing good about this COVID-19 is you see the spirit of giving, generosity, people trying to help other people just to stay sustainable. In the hope that in the months to come, we still can go to our favorite hawkers, order our favorite char kway teow or bak kut teh or nasi biryani. And Hawkers United actually features is a platform giving those traditional hawkers from back in the day who have no IT knowledge or hasn't any form of digital presence to offer them a chance to actually continue their business. And of course, other innovations like this kicked in. And talking about tourism, where we now can't travel to the rest of parts of the world, whether for business or leisure. Leisure travel, again, the uncertain thing here is this, it depends on the global situation at hand, not just the Singapore situation. Travel is highly directly impacted by whether nations to nations they are actually opening up their borders to the rest of the countries. So innovation kicked in such a sense from Metapod.com. If you go into Metapod.com, and they are a company that specializes in the filming or taking visuals of 3D aspects of they started off with residential homes and offices, and now they've gone into using virtual reality to give people a chance to go into an Egyptian tomb, walk around, and be educated along the way with some information in there. Okay, and other innovations like game companies or online gaming companies, which I'll go into more about, giving you an experience from home and taking you to another place as well. And what you see here really is a classic example of how all of a sudden all this digital tools started to pop out from nowhere, giving our dear fishmonger a chance. In this case, it's Max, and he's actually live streaming on a daily basis, which I believe he started off with twice a day, and now it's on a daily basis. And he's live streaming straight from Pasir Panjang Wholesale Market, I believe, or one of the fish spots, and giving you the freshest fish, live streaming, going in there, and if you want to order, let's say your kimbap lor or your batang fish, all you have to do is actually just send him a message, kimbap lor +1, and then now genius, he works and collaborates with delivery companies in order to send his products directly to the door of customers. And essentially, that just changed his entire business model. And is he thriving? Yes, he is. Okay. So other things like from fish to even steaks to just last weekend, I bought 1 kg of foie gras. Yes, totally burst my wallet from this particular Facebook group called Singapore Home Cooks. And they are doing a roaring business. And you'll be amazed how many people at home, over 800 people, go into that live stream. And I'm always amazed to find out how many people are really eating well during this period, buying $74 slices of steaks at 250 grams. Okay? Yalla, I'm one of them. So, ladies and gentlemen, no happy hour, right? Bars, clubs, and schools. DJs, nightclubs, popular nightclubs, as you can see from Zouk, got creative, went online, started to live stream their clubbing sessions or their DJing sessions, bring the party right in their own homes. Now, one of the questions was this: they are offering it for free, but I'm pretty sure they are starting to think of the next thought and strategizing. Say, hey, this works, and people are tuning it. Over a few thousands of people are tuning it, clubbing at home, dancing their way in their living rooms. How can we actually charge them and monetize all this? Okay. And so far, from what I found out and discovered, some of them are actually working with beverage companies to actually package a little picnic basket or clubbing basket, as they would call it, and send it to your home. At the same time, charge you a cover charge so you can access this live stream from your home and have a party with your ama and apo. So, folks, what I'm trying to get at here with this is this. It really looks like for business owners like you and I, it starts to seem as if the traditional ways of doing things, opening a shop alone, waiting for things to happen, customers to stream by, is not enough anymore. And further measures down the road, like Zoom, or the fact that we are now on this webinar right now, talking to each other from wherever we are. Now, sad or unfortunately, we don't know if this is going to ever go away or is it here to stay. But chances are as far as human behavior is concerned, with my 15 years of training experience, I can definitely tell you new trends are starting to form. And from this new trends, new behaviors are starting to form. And what with the measures still in place with Singapore, with its phases and so on and so forth, businesses are starting to realize that, hey, you know what? Video conferencing actually can work. Why didn't I actually do this a long time ago? Okay. And business still goes on, whether or not my guys are still at home. So new trends are coming out, just like Zoom, just one of the many video conferencing tools out there, which all of a sudden skyrocket to new heights now. And is it here to stay? It's anybody's guess, but chances are, and the feeling is like it might, it just might. So as I take you through more of these new technologies from chatbots, for example, voice searches now are getting more increasingly more common. Most people actually have a, little Google Assistant or Amazon gadget within their homes. And of course, what happens is we are increasingly trying to talking to all these gadgets at hand, making our life easier. We no longer actually have to pick up a phone and even type anymore. So I'm probably talking to Siri or Google Assistant and telling them, say, hey, can you order 1 carton of eggs and milk for me and deliver tomorrow? Certainly, sir. Okay. So anyway, with all this in mind, with all these digital transformations that's taking place, and here you see the government is leading the way with having chatbots as well, combining machine learning, AI, grabbing all the data to make it easier for all of us as citizens to actually, get our questions to simple answers, and then at the same time, freeing their staff that used to man call centers and perhaps customer hot service hotlines into doing other value-added work. Okay, so all these things that I've actually wanted to share with you is existing, it's here, and the main essence of hoping to trying to inspire you today is to really think about, and I quote this song, 往事只能回味. And I'm not going to sing, okay? But it seems like the old way of doing business right now is slowly starting to disintegrate. And of course, if you do not have a digital presence, chances are the reality is this: you may not even survive this whole period and come out sustainable. So rather than wait for things to happen and hoping that we might get back to the good old days like 3 months ago or 4 months ago, here is one approach that I have been thinking about the whole time, which is in line with all these messages for the new normal that's taking place. And you hear this all the time: oh, let's get used to the new normal for this, the new normal for that. So here is, if there's one message for this webinar today, really is: are we ready for the rebound? What have we been doing, or how have we been strategizing to change the way we do business, or to rethink our current business models, to adapt to this new digital habits, and of course for people's changing habits out there? Okay, so to continue with this, there's no more important time, I hope, for all of us to realize that with the sprouting out of all these digital avenues in which to do business, which came out suddenly, if there's one thing it points to, is this: the human spirit and creativity is amazing. And during times like this, it's only when we start to realize, hey, maybe I can leverage on all these digital tools, digital technology out there, to perhaps change my business around and to continue what I'm doing right now, which is to perhaps thrive in my business. So there's never been a better time to actually get all of us digitally ready in terms of our staffing, in terms of rethinking our current business models, okay, in suiting the new behaviors and habits which are forming along the way, working from home, social distancing, and things like that. So in the next slide, I think this we are sorry, folks, we are a bit lagging. We have a poll at the next one. And the poll is going to go on in a few short moments. But this is taken from currently the UN Tourism World Organization website, okay? And it basically is a little visual that says wave one, wave two, wave three, okay? And within wave one, it's at the mobilization stage, and within wave two, stabilization, and within wave three is actually to strategize. So the poll is on right now, folks, and if I can point your attention to the poll, there is a blue dot over there, okay, the speech bubble with the bar chart. What I'd like all of you and invite all of you to do is I just want to have a little quick survey, okay, and just see where your thoughts are and which wave we are at. Are we at wave one, which is mobilize? Or are we at wave two, which is to stabilize? Or are we at wave three? Okay. So the polls are actually live right now, and if you see the results are coming hot and fast. And as expected, yes, thankfully, yes, we have gone past and hard throughout the 1.5 months of circuit breaker. We glad to know that everybody is on the same bandwidth. Yes, we are within Singapore itself, at least. It's nice to know that we are now in the stabilization stage. And wow, 82% of us, yes, 79. Oh my, this is going up like the price of oil. Okay, so 82% right now. Okay, so we are definitely on the same bandwidth. And one of the questions here that we ask ourselves as business owners, are we still just going to worry about the bread and butter of our manpower and our rentals and overheads, or have we started to get ready for the rebound? Okay, and my key word to myself at least is getting myself ready for the rebound, which is how can I actually harness all these digital technologies in time for the new normal, especially for the tourism sector. Again, the tourism sector is a huge one. And what I would like to illustrate here is some that I've extracted from various sources, which I thought will be here to stay. One of them would you see on top of the list goes from virtual experience economy, as mentioned, instead of flying somewhere, and due to the restrictions we can't right now, people or companies are starting to develop ways in which we can use the online platforms, virtual reality to bring that whole experience to us. Okay. And of course, we're still scratching the surface as to how to monetize it and how to charge for the experience. But that's now currently dynamically somewhere out there. I'm sure somebody's ideating how to do that. Short streaming, live streaming, we saw some examples from Max, our dear fishmonger, selling fish every morning through live streaming. Live streaming has caught on in a big way. Even my mother is doing it now. And my mother was one of those that, last time, yeah, I don't want to touch the computer, wait, explode. Now she is a big fan and she actually mirrors the live stream to her TV and watch it with my dad. Yes. And she's gloating about, today's fish very fresh. And the one thing that actually comes from her, which is quite surprising, my mom, is that, yeah, I should have done this a long time ago. Why so bodo? Okay. Now that again is to highlight how even in seniors, their behaviors and picking up digital technologies and things like that has changed somewhat. And this is apparent from one of the news that I read in China, where recently they had a poll on all the seniors during this period where Wuhan had a lockdown, and most of them are coming out right now, being digital savvy, okay, and buying up digital equipment more than the younger folks, okay, or using all these platforms, okay. And likewise, I just want to go through. I'm not going to go through each and every one of them, but I see a rise in some of these little points here or trends that is taking place from leisure travel, be leisure as they call it. This is no different from what we have in the insurance industries, where they actually reward and incentivize their insurance agents for a job well done. So this might be a new HR benefit, understanding that most of us are now working from home. So as part of that whole pay package now, they could be incentivizing their own employees to go for business mixed leisure travel. Because here's the thing, travel just got more expensive. With social distancing measures and so on, what used to be a plane capacity of 300, a full flight, now moving forth, we can roughly predict that it's going to be half. So simple math, from 300 seats, now you got 150, which means the airlines has to sell that ticket for 150 seats at double the price just to make up for the capacity. So, business travel or any sort of travel just became a luxury like in the good old days. Anyway, with the next slide, I just wanted to share with you a little research that I did over time on the tourism industry at hand. And this is again coming from the UN Tourism World Organization website. You can actually just go and reference and research and just type in Google and you should see a wealth of information for you right there. Pointing out this particular one, which they actually did a statistics based on their data that they have. And it basically, the key message here is no surprise, domestic demand should recover faster than international demand. So the thought process that I'd like to propose for all of us is here. It's to really focus on designing or rethinking our current business models as to how to again leverage or combine or to collaborate digitally to offer not just in Singapore but within the region itself in time to come. And of course, with this comes some strengths and weaknesses that I spotted as well. And some of the strengths and weaknesses as identified, especially opportunities here, which I want to focus on. The UNWTO, once again, based on their recommendations, it's to really for business owners within the tourism sector, and honestly, not just the tourism sector, from F&B to retail and whoever else that are now hard hit by this period, is to start rethinking the business model. Okay. I do understand and fully can relate that you're still struggling with the day-to-day, bread and butter issues and so on and so forth. But I would also try to encourage, like for myself, I've started to try to reserve that bit of brain capacity and time to actually rethink, hey, what should I do with this and where do I go with this? What other digital platforms can I actually expand myself or let my business be known and things like that. So I'm just going to point you to these opportunities at hand here that you see on this particular slide, and as well as the threats, and especially the last pointer under the threats column there, unknown form of the new normal, and so today, really, as part of this sharing, I just wanted to highlight some of these new behaviors that is taking shape at the moment, and perhaps basing it to write the way forward and to really, really, really try to re-strategize and rethink our business models at hand. So the tourism industry is no stranger to digital usage and the usage of all these tech platforms and stuff like that. It's really happening. It's really happening. From reservations to ticket bookings to all things that is linking to digital platforms. But the question here remains is, are we really maximizing this here enough? And are we taking it to the next level for all businesses? Or are we just superficially having just a social media presence or a website and not going beyond that? Okay. So once again, some examples here from around the world. This time with the use of chatbots. This particular company is probably manned by less than 10 people. And essentially, they are using chatbots, apps to help travelers out there to design their own very personalized travel and itineraries. And once they do that by asking questions as if having a real conversation through messaging along the way, give them a whole personalized itinerary where they can link up with the various booking companies and reservation companies, whether for rental cars or accommodations, in which to at one stop shop in which to do so, all from the comfort of one app. And this thing has great potential because in the next slide, I'm going to show you some of these companies or startups that are primarily, this one in this case is based in the US, but parts of the various parts of the world, including Singapore, a lot of startups are now coming in with such apps or websites or other digital platforms like this to take advantage and to ride this wave of new behaviors from all of us. Knowing in mind that we want the convenience, we want the one-stop shop, and we want to actually access this as easily as possible. So if I can refer you to this particular group of startups and specifically pointing out to some of the venture capital that has been put in, and they are in the millions to actually go forth and build it and bring it to its highest potential. And if you realize much of it at the last column or the last row in 12, it's not a big traditional setup where you have people running a customer service hotline and taking reservations. It's all run by machines and AI and data. So other trends will include things like this as virtual experiences. VR, we have only scratched the surface as to what VR can do. Much of us, of course, we know by putting on the goggles, it's used for gaming and things like that, or exercising. But if you imagine this, if there's one thing I hate most, is probably going to the dentist. Okay, sitting down on the dentist chair and watching your teeth gets poked and your mouth open wide with no control of your mouth after that, after you get off the dentist chair. The whole experience by itself is scary for a lot of people, which includes me. So VR is used in this case by a growing number of dentists or dental clinics around the world, in which to put the goggles on, transport the poor patient to another world, perhaps on the beach somewhere, and drinking a pina colada. In this case, this boy cannot drink a pina colada, maybe a glass of milk, okay? And taking his mind and tricking his mind that he's not on the dental chair. So likewise, this could be an idea to explore as well, perhaps collaborating with such digital platforms and offering VR to offer customers an experience of going to an attraction somewhere. In this case, the tomb, as I shared with you, metapod.com. Go and check it out. It's meta as in what's the matter, and then pod as in pot of call. Okay, metapod.com. Go and check this out. It transports you literally to the tomb of Mena in Egypt, where you can walk around, view the site in the comfort of your own living room. And not to be left out also is our dear STB, Sport Tourism Board. Of recent, I think this was back in maybe 3 days ago. This is Uncle Chu, and Uncle Chu is taking us on a trishaw ride and this is 3D, right? You can, as Uncle Chu is bringing us around Haji Lane, he's actually explaining the history, the sights, the sounds, some of the tips that you can actually do there, some of the good makan there, and things like that. So again, right in the comfort of your own room. Once again, all these experiences are run digitally, VR, and it's only anyone's guess how this can be further used. And again, as shared, I think we are only at the surface as to how this can propel us or be complementing to our business, especially in tourism environments. From concerts to museum tours to 3D photos and everything that you see down there. And not forgetting sports as well. Not sports, but gaming. Gaming companies like Ubisoft, big company, is leveraging on their game, very popular game called Assassin's Creed, offering educational tours as you play the game. And right now, it's free. Is it going to be free forever? I don't think so. Okay, they're probably scrambling in their heads, having a powwow and say, how do we further charge them in the future? Okay, not to be left out also is sports. Unfortunately, because of what's happening right now, the Olympics got cancelled to next year. And even so, in 2021, we're not really certain whether the Olympics is still going to go on or not. But necessity, as they say, is the mother of invention. Bundesliga, this German league, has gone online, fully digital. Stadiums are empty, but the football team of 22 players are still, challenging one another and competing in an empty stadium. The new normal for football players as well. But for us, the Bundesliga, together with this Korean baseball teams, what they have expertly done and creatively done is to harness digital live streaming. Korea is actually using 5G networks to actually stream various views on the sports fans, or in this case, the baseball fans, to give them various views of the batters or different views of the stadium, and at the same time having a live chat component to actually cheer the team on. And the fans are equally as creative. They still want to support their favorite team by printing out these banners in the stadium as if they're still there. So good on our Korean baseball fans. So as time goes by, the new normal here, it looks like digital platforms are here to stay. Whether or not we are, again, maximizing them in our business is another question. And of course, whether our staff and employees are actually trained to actually fully harness them, if we have them, is the other question as well. So with that, what happens to us then in this whole digital environment and trends and changing patterns and behaviors that's happening right now? One thing we know for sure, this whole work from home here is probably here to stay. And you probably have business owners right now. I just heard over the Channel News Asia, MasterCard has allowed all their staff and continue to let all their staff to stay at home and work from home until a vaccine is found. We don't even know when the vaccine is going to be found. So from this aspect, we can safely say it's probably here to stay. And what is going to happen to commercial office space? Because business owners will start to realize that, hey, if this works and it continues to work, business still goes on, which means I don't really need an office space, which means I don't really need to pay overheads, okay, or high overheads, which also means, yeah, I can save on rental and overheads. A lot of new disruptions are on the way. So, my dear fellow business owners, having an online presence just on social media is no longer enough. It's about thinking and rethinking how we can actually harness the data out there, the analytics out there, machine learning, VR, all those that I've shared with you along the way. Just having an Instagram post is no longer enough. So How then? Well, one such way is, of course, that's where we come in today together with WSG and SSG, is possibly to share with you from NTUC Learning Hub, which is a training provider. There is a whole range of courses, this three especially exclusively just curated for all of you today. Skills Future for a digital workplace, to adapt to change for, and of course, with adapting to change, there is another course which is to respond, or to perhaps share how to actually respond to new behaviors of customers and consumers and so on. And much of these courses, again, are highly customizable to your needs, okay? And of course, in the Q&A section, we will have Marie from NTUC Learning Hub to answer some of your questions that you may have on these individual courses at hand. Okay? So that pretty much concludes my part, and to share with you some of these trends for myself as a business owner myself. I'm also really thinking about the rebound at hand, how I can actually leverage on all these things. And next up, this is the good part, of course. We have, as you know, very nice government, okay? Throughout this period, on a more serious note, government has actually introduced quite a bit of measures and subsidies and schemes out there which are available to us. And this particular one, I'm going to have my dear friend Aaron from Skills Future Singapore to actually tell you more about it. Okay, so Aaron, over to you.
Yep. Okay, thank you, Mark. Hi everyone, I'm Aaron from Skills Future, and I'm actually part of the enterprise engagement team where we work with partners like DBS to reach out to business owners like yourselves. We share more about some of our initiatives, and I think like what Mark has pointed out earlier, everything has changed in an instant due to COVID-19. Physical interactions are not allowed. Businesses are required to adapt quickly, implement work from home strategies, or even digitalize their business. So due to all these changes, this could be a time to relook and think about your business transformation to adapt to these changing times. And with this new Skills Future Enterprise Credit, or SFEC, which was recently announced during the budget speech this year, it will be able to help you provide some additional support to defray your costs when you take on business transformation initiatives. So what exactly is Skills Future Enterprise Credit, or SFEC, all about? So SFEC, what it does is it aims to provide eligible companies with $10,000 worth of credits to cover 90% of your out-of-pocket expenses. And you can use it for enterprise transformation or workforce transformation purposes. So what does enterprise transformation exactly entail? Put it simply, SFEC provides you with additional funding for you to undertake business transformation initiatives based on its supportable programs. And SFEC actually provides you additional funding on top of the existing funding provided by these supported programs. So this is a list of some of the examples of some supported programs under the enterprise transformation bucket. So for example, if let's say your company maybe wishes to purchase some pre-approved IT solutions, you can actually tap on this productivity solutions grant, and what it does is currently it provides you with up to 80% funding to do so. And what SFEC can do for you is that it will add on to the funding by covering an additional 90% of the remaining amount that you are required to pay. So in a way, SFEC, you can see it as a rider on top of these base programs to provide you with some additional funding. Then on the other hand, you can also use the credits not just to transform your business, but also use it for workforce transformation. So basically, there are various supported programs under WSG and Skills Future under the workforce transformation bucket. So for instance, under some of the supported programs under WSG, you can actually use these credits to redesign your jobs for employees, cover costly expenses under their professional conversion program, and so on. And you can also use these credits for you to send your employees for industry relevant courses. So for Skills Future, we actually have more than 7,000 approved industry relevant courses, which you can actually send your employees to. So if you look at this whole program as a whole, you can use the credits to, on one end, transform your business by maybe purchasing new IT solution or equipment. And on the other hand, you can also send your workers for relevant training. So that's actually why there's a cap of $7,000 for enterprise transformation. because we also want to ensure that companies send your workers for training, equip them with the right skills, so that your workers are able to meet the new demands of your business as you introduce new technology. So this is an example of how you can use SFEC. So let's say your company wishes to purchase a new IT solution, and the cost of this solution is actually $30,000, and you decide to tap on the Productivity Solutions grant. So currently it provides up to 80% funding, and after funding, you will only need to pay $6,000. And SFEC will then come in and provide you with an additional 90% of the remaining amount. And you will only need to pay $600 for this solution, which initially would have cost you $30,000. Then at the same time, you can also send your employees for industry relevant courses. So this course under service leadership is one of the many courses that we have, and currently the fee of this course is actually $440. And there is already an existing subsidy under SkillsFuture which provides SME with up to 90% funding for approved courses. So after the existing SkillsFuture funding, you will only need to pay $44. Then out of these $44 that you need to pay, SFEC can come in and provide you with an additional 90% funding, and it further reduces your cost to only $4 plus. So this is just some additional information about SFEC on some of the eligibility criteria. So for companies, you do not have to apply for SFEC. You will automatically be eligible as long as you meet these three criteria. Firstly, you need to contribute at least $750 worth of skills development levy over a qualifying period, have at least 3 Singaporean or PR employed over the same period, and have not qualified in any of the earlier periods. So these are the 4 qualifying periods that your company will be qualified against. And if let's say you are eligible for SFEC, you will be informed in writing by Enterprise Singapore from this coming July onwards. And if you want to find out more about SFEC, you can actually visit this website here, or just drop us an email. And for the list of approved courses, which is covered under SFEC, you can also visit the link indicated here as well. So I mentioned earlier that SMEs are eligible for some existing SkillsFuture funding when you send your employees for training. So in the next few slides, I'll share with you more on some of the subsidies that employers can actually receive when you send your workers for training. So if you're an SME, or if you send your Singaporean workers above 40 for training, you can receive up to 90% cost fee funding. And at the same time, employers can also claim absentee payroll funding when your workers are away for training. So currently SMEs can receive up to $750 per hour, and non-SMEs can receive $450 per hour worth of absentee payroll funding. And this is actually aimed at trying to help you to offset the cost of downtime when you send your employees for training. And currently, because of this COVID-19 situation, to provide more support for sectors which are actually heavily hit, the government has also announced that eligible companies in these 6 sectors can receive up to 90% cost fee funding as well. And this is regardless of whether you are an SME or a non-SME. And for tourism sector, it is also one of the sectors which is covered under this enhanced package as well. And furthermore, on top of providing the enhanced cost fee support, the absentee payroll rate has also been enhanced as well, from the usual rate of $750 per hour for SMEs and $450 per hour for non-SMEs. It has been enhanced to a maximum of $10 per training hours. And this is applicable for SMEs and non-SMEs as well. So to summarize, if let's say your company wishes to get up to 90% cost fee subsidy, you need to either be 1, an SME, or 2, send your Singaporean employees above 40 for training, or 3, belong to any of these 6 sectors. And this is regardless of whether you are an SME or non-SME. So this can actually be a good time for you to take advantage of maybe this downtime and tap on the enhanced funding provided to send your workers for training, retrain them, upskill them, so that when things eventually start picking up again, business starts going back to normal, at least your employees are trained and equipped with the necessary skills to meet the new demands of your business. Okay, this is an example of how you can use the enhanced funding. So for example, if let's say this course in digital marketing and hospitality, a 45-hour course, after the 90% funding, this course will only cost you $104. And with the enhanced absentee payroll rate of up to $10 per hour, employers can receive up to a maximum of $450 when you send your employees for this 45-hour course. And if let's say you want to find out about the exact amount of funding you can receive, you can actually check with a training provider directly, and they will be able to advise you on the exact amount that you are required to pay for the training. Okay, lastly, just to share with you some of the additional resources that we have to help you better navigate, through our programs and initiatives. Because we also understand that, SkillsFuture Singapore and Workforce Singapore, we have a lot of programs and schemes, which sometimes it might be a bit hard for companies to find out what programs is actually beneficial or suitable for their business. So we have this enterprise portal for jobs and skills. It is actually a one-stop portal which houses all the programs and initiatives under SkillsFuture Singapore and Workforce Singapore. And at this portal, you can actually find useful guides on how to create a training plan for a company, job redesign toolkits, and also what programs are suitable for your business. And so depending on what your business is actually looking for, it could be maybe developing human capital, redesigning your jobs. You want to enhance or digitalize human capital practices, or even reduce dependency on foreign workers. You can actually select the relevant categories, and you show you the whole list of applicable programs that based on what you are looking for. So if you want to find out more, you can actually scan this QR code or just pop by this website to find out more. So I've come to the end of my sharing. Up next, we have Chawen from Workforce Singapore, who will be sharing with you some of the WSG programs, such as the SG United job initiatives for the tourism sector.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Hello, everyone. My name is Chawen from Workforce Singapore. I'm glad to be here to share with you on the support program that WSG has in place for you and your company during this period of time. For those who are not too familiar with Workforce Singapore, allow me to just share with you what do we do as an agency under the Ministry of Manpower. Our core mission at WSG is to empower individuals to adapt and also to help enterprises to transform under two main umbrella programs called Adapt and Grow and Transform and Grow. So for Adapt and Grow program, these are programs basically targeted to support workforce transformation, and some examples that you commonly heard of would include like professional conversion program or even career trial. On the other hand, Transform and Grow program aims to support enterprises on business transformation, and some examples like what Aaron mentioned earlier on is including job redesign, work pro. So in view of time today, I will just focus on sharing with you the two most recent programs that WSG has introduced for the tourism sector that you could consider during this current situation. So in complement with the LHUB programs that Mark has shared earlier on, if your enterprise is looking at transforming your business during this period of time, another potential program that you can look at and may want to consider tapping on would be WSG Service Industry Transformation Program, SITP in short. On the other hand, to support enterprises on your manpower deployment during this COVID period through job facilitation, I will also be talking about another program called the SG United Jobs Initiative. So first, let me bring you through Service Industry Transformation Program. This program, supported by WSG, is curated to work with enterprises in the lifestyle sector, mainly food services, hotel, retail, tours and travel, MICE and attraction companies, to really help them to be more manpower lean and to stay competitive, and most importantly, to be future ready. So under this program, we have appointed the Singapore Productivity Center as our program manager. And the program basically comprised of both classroom learning as well as guided project implementation. This cost is highly subsidized for SMEs, funded up to 90%, and will cost per company $1,008 if you are keen to participate. And the good news is SITP is also eligible for the SSG SFEC funding, which Aaron has shared with you earlier on. Next, this is the detailed cost structure of Service Industry Transformation Program. Basically, the program comes with a 2-day knowledge sharing workshop covering modules such as service design, customer journey mapping, job redesign, workforce planning. On top of that, there will also be consultants assigned to you by Singapore Productivity Center attached to your company for 7 days on-site project guidance while your company starts to embark on this transformation journey. So in view of COVID, SITP is also now available online. One such example of an F&B company that has tapped on SITP to redesign their work processes through digitalization. Unfortunately, we are not able to share the company name because they are still in the middle of going through the project. Through the support of the Singapore Productivity Center consultants, the company has actually went through the process of conducting interviews with their customers, review their customer journey mapping, so they can identify gaps and opportunities in the company services. And as a result, actually, the company is now looking at implementing a mobile QR ordering system so that they can actually help to enhance their customer experiences in all its outlets. And this will also means that they are expecting to see a reduction in their customer waiting time and also payment processing time. The next program that I would like to share with you today will be the SG United Jobs Initiative. So this initiative is fairly new. It's actually an enhancement of what WSG does in terms of our job matching support to companies, which are mainly affected by COVID-19. Under this initiative, WSG provide employment facilitation between companies with excess manpower and also companies with manpower demand. So WSG and also working together with our appointed program managers, we will actually work with individual company through this process. We are keen to actually explore how they can do the job matching between the two companies. Yeah, so we will also so the companies who are keen to participate can also post or search for jobs opening via WSG My Careers Future portal, or even reach out to any of our respective program manager for future assistance. We will share more details with you on the respective program managers later on. Yeah. So that has actually come to the end of WSG sharing on the programs that we are helping companies through this period of time. So I'll pass the time back to Mark, who will be running through the Q&A session. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Jiawen and Aaron. And most of all, thank you everyone there for your time this past hour. Sincerely, we hope that has been helpful for you. And as you can tell, not just, you're not alone, okay? And there's help out there. Personally, I'm looking into it right now. I'm just going to look for Aaron and Jiawen after this. So, moving on. Okay, moving on, we have this Q&A questions and answers segment, which we would like you to invite you to actually put in your questions, any questions that you may have. But don't worry, again, if we do not have enough time to actually answer all your questions for you, the business class team will be consolidating all your questions and will be sharing them through a follow-up email to you. And so, at this time, I invite you to actually submit all your questions in the Q&A button on your right. Okay. Let's see. So I'm just checking if there's any questions from anyone right now. And yes, we have James. James is asking okay. James has been answered by Sean. So James has asked some local SMEs might not be able to contribute 750 to SGL because as small businesses, there may be only less than 10 staff. So again, this is live and dynamic. As you can tell, the response to you, Sean, response to you, James, is there. And for everybody's benefit as well, just in case you do have similar questions like that. So once again, I invite you to just put your questions in And we have one. Can the course be tailored for my business and employees? Okay, so can the course be tailored? Yes, absolutely. Okay, in terms of course, within the course itself, the content, okay, the content is can be suited, all right, to your context of business. That's for sure. Let's see. Hanging in there is seeing if there's any other questions that are coming in progressively. Okay, so we have another question here. Currently, how are your courses conducted? Okay, in view of the situation right now, the courses mainly conducted online, virtually, either through via Zoom or any of those video conferencing tools. And we have the next question here. What is the course fees for SME, and are we able to get subsidies for the course? Okay, now I'm not a expert on the subsidies part. Okay, so I'm just going to refer to Marie, my colleague from my NTUC Learning Hub, who is the one that will answer this query. And perhaps also Aaron and Jia Wen can further add to Marie's response. So Marie,
Hi.
There's a question here. What is the cost fees for SMEs, and are they able to get subsidies for the cost?
Hi. Yes, thank you for the question. So SMEs get 90% course fees funding. So the course fee after funding for locals and PRs are for the first course Skills Future for Digital Workplace program is $50 per pax. Adapt to Change course is $30 per pax, and the response to service challenges is $33 per pax. So on top of that, SMEs can claim the enhanced absentee payroll of up to $10 per training hour to help defray the training investment. And I would like to pass on to Aaron to share a bit more on this. Aaron?
Okay, so for course fee subsidies, SMEs are actually eligible for up to 90% funding. And also, as part of the enhanced training support package, companies, regardless of whether you're SME or non-SME, as long as you're in the affected sectors like tourism, retail, or F&B, you are also eligible for up to 90% funding. And at the same time, you can also claim the absentee payroll rate of up to a maximum of $10 per hour. And if let's say your company also just happen to meet the criteria for SFEC, you can also use SFEC on top of the existing fundings or course fee subsidies provided by SSG. If let's say the course also happens to be one of the approved courses under SFEC as well.
And Jia, is there anything that you'd like to add further?
Yes. In fact, particularly to the two programs that I've shared, the SITP, which is the Service Industry Transformation Program, for SMEs, actually, this is a highly subsidized program, as I've earlier mentioned. Per company, that will cost them $1,800. So they can send up to actually two representatives to be attending this particular program for the workshop segment. Yeah, then for the SG United Jobs Initiative, of course, this is something that we have in place to actually help company during this COVID situation. So it's a job facilitation, and of course, it comes absolutely free for companies who need our help. They can actually approach us or the program manager, which will share more details on their contacts later on with the participants. Yeah, that's it.
Right. Thank you, Aaron and John, especially for the question, and Marie as well. I'm just seeing from the chat if there's any. And we have one that just popped up, just like a little mushroom. Okay, so This question here, can we use the enhanced training support package together with SFEC for the same cost? So perhaps I'll get Aaron to
Yep.
respond to this question.
Okay, so the answer is yes, but however, it also depends on whether the company is eligible. One thing is whether is the company eligible for SFEC and also the enhanced training support, because for the enhanced training support they have to belong to the 6 affected sectors. And if let's say they happen to meet these 2 criteria, they can actually use SFEC to cover 90% of the remaining out-of-pocket expenses after the training subsidy. Yep.
Okay, so I hope that answered your query there. And let's see if we have any other questions here. Okay, one more here. How can we apply for the course fee funding and absenteeism role? Okay, so how can we apply for the course fee funding and absentee payroll? I think this is a question for Aaron again. Aaron, you're a popular guy.
Okay, I think for absentee payroll and course fee funding, companies, you can actually approach the training providers directly to find out more information on the exact amount you need to pay, the amount of absentee payroll that can actually claim, and how to actually go about applying. And on the portal, just like I mentioned about this enterprise portal for jobs and skills, over at this portal, you can also find things like useful guides on how to apply for the absentee payroll funding. And for the absentee payroll funding, currently it can be applied via our Skills Connect system. But from July onwards, this absentee payroll funding can be applied via our we have this new training grant system as well.
Okay, great. I hope that answered your question there. Let's see if we have any more. Okay, one more there. How can companies access jobs available under SGUJ? So that's for, so Aaron, sorry, your popularity is sank. Now it's Aaron's turn.
Okay, yeah. So regarding the jobs available under SG United Jobs Initiative, I've checked that one way is, of course, to access WSG My Careers Future Job Portal. By just simply searching for SG United Jobs, you'll be able to see the jobs that's available under this initiative. Another way that company can also access it at their ease of their mobile is, of course, to join a Telegram chat. That is hashtag SG United Jobs. Yeah, so that will give them a lot of notification about some of these new job posting under this particular initiative as well.
So once again, that was Telegram at hashtag SG United Jobs.
Yes.
Okay. Actually, I had a look at it. It's wow, quite a lot. Yeah, it's bombarding my Telegram every day. All right, so I'm just checking through if there's any last questions there. And okay, looks like we're pretty much done with all the questions. Once again, if you do have any questions at all that wasn't answered or you wasn't in time to actually do so, please just let your DBS business class folks know, and then they'll get back to you with it. Okay, so with this, I don't want to keep everyone from thinking about what to cook for dinner, so I'm afraid that's all the time that we'll have. Once again, we'll take any questions that we have left unanswered. We'll follow up with that. The business class team will follow up with that. And once again, folks, thank you so much for joining us today at SME Academy Live. Okay, this was Upskill for the Future for the tourism sector, brought to you exclusively by DBS Business Class. Okay, and of course, DBS Business Class is an engagement program by DBS SME Banking, designed for the business community to access opportunities for growth, both in business and capabilities. And of course, as members, all of us are actually given exclusive access to business thought leaderships, webinars like this, market insights and industry trends that's delivered at our Signature Disrupt series of events held across the region. Okay, So if you'd like to register for your free membership at go.dbs.com/be subscribe. And of course, more details in that from the DBS team. Okay, so this has been me, Aaron, Jiawen, and Marie, of course. And we thank all of you for your patience and participation in answering any of the questions that you have. Again, thank you, everyone. And of course, this is all of us signing off and wishing everybody stay safe and stay healthy. And most of all, stay positive. Thank you so much.
You.